It's 7 o'clock. We'll give it one more. Hello, Alex, and welcome. We'll give folks another a minute to join. We do have one case this evening that we're going to address first. It's on Water Street, and then we will move on to a resolution that Commissioner Footer has put together on the bottle bill, the DC bottle bill. I see Pat has joined. All right, rather than hold everyone up, we'll go ahead and get started. I believe, Christina, you're here. It is for the case, so let me do that real quick. Hi, Christina, can you hear me? You need to unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And you're the case on Water Street, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And I see there are some other folks. Do you know who might be joining you to go over the
I think
specific?
it's possible my dad might be on the line, Sam Ferrari. And
Okay.
then it's possible also David Delgado. I'm not sure if he's signed in or not.
That may be DRD Studio.
Yep, that would be him.
There we go. We'll go ahead and bring them up too. Do you need your father? Is he part of the
Um,
case?
yeah, he's familiar with the plans, probably more so
Okay,
than I am. So that would be good.
great. Good evening, gentlemen. You should be with us here in a minute. They have to accept the. Great. All right. So for the three of you who maybe aren't as familiar with this process, my name is Michael Wray. I'm the chair of this particular committee, where we go over the zoning cases for ANC 1E. We'll ask about you, let you give a presentation on what you're trying to do, and then we may have some questions just to see what the impacts could be to the neighbors, if any. And then this committee will eventually put together a recommendation that goes to the full ANC. The full ANC will consider that and do a vote, and then they send that recommendation on to the BZA, where you'll actually have to do this all again, and they will ask you a lot more difficult questions than what we probably will, and then you'll see if it gets approved. But the ANC gets a chance to weigh in on the case and make recommendations based on what we see in the plans, and if we think there's anything there that's of concern. We may have nothing, so that's often the case. So I don't know who on your team wants to give the presentation, but take it away. You can present up on the screen if you need to.
I can get started and I'll just give you like a quick overview of our home. So our
Okay.
home was built in 1912. There was an addition on the back added in 1923 that we were able to find through like the permitting records. When we purchased the house, there was a garage in the back as well. So we are on a smaller size lot. I think our lot is 1,400 square feet and 1,600 is now the standard size. So we don't actually meet the setback requirements. Right now, we're way over our setback requirements. Um, so one of the things that we are going to do is we're actually going to remove that garage that we were never able to find permitting for. And we are going to tear off part of the back and build it back at a slightly smaller dimension so that we can fit in stairs in order to get down to the bottom level. We're going to make the basement into its own apartment. And we actually want to go up a level. So the neighbor went up a level in around 2017. And we talked to some solar experts, and they basically said that they hadn't seen any like pergola type additions that were allowed according to DC code. So in order to get solar panels, we actually have to go up a level. So that is part of our plans. And I can let somebody else take over now if they want to give a little more detail.
I was muted. Sorry about that. Didn't recognize it. Do the folks at DRD Studios, do you have the actual plans that you could put up on the screen that we can see?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Let me do I share my screen or?
Yeah, just share the screen and let us see what the addition will look like.
Okay, can you see it?
Yeah, we see the application.
Okay, yeah, the cover sheet. So you wanna go through the whole set, or what are you interested?
No, I mean, if you can give us something that kind of gives us a flavor for how far back it is relationship to the other houses on the block.
Okay, in that case, I think Sam would be better to do that. Sam, since you're more familiar with the drawings. There you go. You're
Can
muted now.
you hear me now?
Yeah, you can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I'm Sam Ferrari. I'm one of the architects on the
Okay.
project. So the goal was to come as close to the code we can come. Basically, as Christina said, the lot is non-conforming, the setbacks weren't conforming. We're maintaining the front of the house, which is in line with the rest of the row. You can see on the bottom left from the survey, the houses all line up. And it's really the rear yards and both houses on each side actually go further back. The house on the north side is actually been built closer to the street than the survey shows. I think that was just recently done. But we're basically keeping, the front wall, the garden wall in the front, the steps, and then we're making access to dig out the front to get to the basement and the front yard. And that's really just a modification to the porch, taking off about 5 feet, I believe it is, off the north side of the porch. That also reduces the lot coverage because it's not covered roof there. And then in the back, we're tearing off the one-story addition that Christina mentioned that was done in I believe the 20s. And we're replacing it with a 3-story. It's basically stacked restroom bathrooms that are on the back of the house, but they're of a lesser setback than the previous house. The previous house was about, I think, 4 feet off the property line. We're about 8 feet, 7.5 feet, I believe.
And how far off the alley will you be when it's all done? Roughly.
Okay, I wasn't prepared for that, but I want to say we're going to be 7.5 feet off the alley.
Okay.
I think the
And
next,
that-
I think the next sheet, David, shows it better.
It's like divided in half though, right? Because half of the back lot is going to be used for a parking pad. So that's like the full,
Okay.
I
That's
think.
kind of, yeah, this is actually showing
Yes.
what I was kind of getting the sense of. So there'll be a parking pad on one side, there'll be an addition on the other. That addition is pretty much wall to wall with your neighbor to, I'm assuming maybe that's north. On the screen, it's the one above. You're coming out a little further than they are, but not very much. I mean, are they a 3-story unit as well, or is that a 2-story building? Your neighbor.
The neighbor to the north is 2 stories, but they did an addition, and I don't think it was permitted at the time. I think they've come back afterwards.
Okay.
And they're about 2, so what's shown there is our survey was prior to their addition. So you can see it there where we're removing the porch and stairs and we're back, but on the north side is where her parking pad will be. So we won't be up against the 2-story house. We'll be up against the 3-story house to the south.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I misread them.
Yeah,
Which
this is
side
the
was-
existing. What you're seeing is the existing, it was before, the existing garage.
I see. All right.
Mhm.
So the neighbor to the south is a 3-story building. You're basically attaching to that.
Correct.
Okay.
Are there photos that show all of this stuff rather than drawings, so we can visualize it a little better?
We submitted
Yeah.
photos. David, I don't know if you have those or.
I don't think I do. I think Jennifer submitted those. Let me just go through my.
Let me see.
I have a picture from the submission of the back of the house. Oh, you got
Yeah.
it. Okay, great.
Yeah, I have the front and the back. Yeah, that's the back.
Okay. Sorry, let me get back there. I was looking to see if I could bring it up myself real quick, but
Yeah, no, that's the one. Yeah.
okay.
So the addition is gonna be on the left side with the tan building that's currently there.
Correct.
And you're building out to be the same distance as that or further out? I can't from that picture how far out it comes.
Yeah, so this is the proposed site plan. I believe from the alley to the addition is about 8'6", you said, Sam? Or...
Yes, yes, yeah, it's just around 8 feet, and the house next to her, because their lot goes deeper, because it goes along parallel to the alley, that other house will be out further. That house is only about, I think, 3 feet off the alley line at that corner.
Can you back to the picture again? I thought that was helpful.
That's probably because that house was built prior to the 10-foot rule being put in place, which they're actually working on modifying that so that you can go back further. But that doesn't restrict you from, as long as you're not doing 100% lot coverage, which it doesn't look like you're doing, you shouldn't have any.
Yeah,
And
so the addition that you're adding, but you said you're going up 3 stories. Will that include any portion of the original home or just the addition?
No, it'll include the original home.
Okay.
But it's set back. We're not touching the front elevation. We're actually setting back the 3rd story. There's like a deck on top of the roof behind the existing pediment. If you go to the other picture, David, so there's that pediment, and it'll sit back behind that.
Yeah.
So
That's a
from
pretty
the from the street view, it's going to be kind of to the house to the left. It sits back. So it doesn't affect the art, the original architecture, trying to respect that historic nature of the row. And the porch will be very similar to the house on the right side. You can see the porch is pulled back a little bit. That's their access to the basement also.
so Christina, you said when you were first talking something in reference to solar panels, and are you talking about solar panels that you want to put on your new addition or solar panels on one of the houses that are abutting you?
Solar panels on our addition.
No,
So that's kind of the initial impetus for wanting to go up a story.
So those will be right here on the 3rd floor, on the roof of the 3rd
That
floor.
pertains to the rule within the code that, I don't know if I can explain this in a way, but you probably already know this, but it pertains to the fact that if there are solar panels already on a house next to you and you try to build above it, it restricts how much you can do because you're not allowed to interfere with their production. But if you're building at the same level that they are and then putting solar panels on top, you're already maxed out at your height limit, so you shouldn't have any issue with that. I just wanted to make sure I understood what you were talking about.
Yeah, so the house to the south of us is the 2-story house, and they don't have solar panels.
Right.
And I don't believe the one to the north does either, but it's harder to tell.
As long as that one doesn't have it, then you should be fine. The issue would come into play when they try to do something, or if they tried to put it on. As long as there's no existing solar panels, you're fine. My other question, while I'm asking you, Michael, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Is well, this is the first I'm seeing this, so I haven't really I don't understand. Have not looked at any of the drawings. You said that you're converting this to a 2-unit building, which you're allowed to do in RF1, but can you explain a little bit more in detail how you're laying out bedrooms and how you're dividing the building into 2 units? You talked about the access to get into the basement, but is that just 1 unit and the rest of the house going to be a 2nd unit?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so then how does that apply to the issue of having to have windows and egress for bedrooms and apartments?
So the basement unit is a 1 bedroom and it has an egress window, labeled A in the back there that goes right into the alley. That's that parking
That's
a
by the
parking pad
pad.
in the
Okay.
back, so there's no building there. And then, of course, it has windows on a door and 2 windows on the front under the partial covered porch above.
That's what I thought. I just want to make sure I'm asking the right question.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in order to get to the basement level, that's where we are removing some portion of the existing front porch, so we can add the new areaway to come down to get the head height.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of these houses have that same problem, so if you dig
Yeah.
out.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What's the approximate square footage of that unit?
David, if you go back to the sheet before, it's got all the square footages on there. Well, maybe it's on this sheet here. It's hard to read.
Area, from load occupancy. I don't see it here.
It doesn't say on
Yeah.
It's more of a curiosity than
Oh, okay.
curious what the.
Basement 840 square feet.
Okay, yeah. So that's
Yeah, 840. There you go.
it's a nice size 1-bedroom place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions? Have you spoken to the neighbors on either side yet? And, have they, brought it forth any concerns, or are you dealing with that?
We spoke to them. We started this process a while ago. We spoke to them and we sent out a notice so the place to the north of us, there's a landlord associated with it. And then the place to the south of us has 3 different owners, and we've spoken to each of them. We sent them the notice as well. So
Okay.
they didn't express any concerns.
Very good. And the parking space, I'm assuming you'll deed that with the main house, not the apartment, not the apartment necessarily, or will it be
Yeah.
totally
Yeah,
separate?
it'll be part of the main house. Yeah.
Well,
Michael, as a follow-up to your question on contacting the neighbors, Christina, you said that the one house has a landlord, so I'm assuming that's a rental?
Yes, that's a rental.
Okay, so then my follow-up to Michael's question is, although you have contacted the landlord, he doesn't live there. It's his property, but you really should also contact the actual tenants so that they're aware that this is going to happen. Because they're the ones that are going to be the ones that are inconvenienced, not the landlord who probably lives in Florida.
Okay, that makes sense. Requirements from
Yeah.
all of the permitting, they specified who we contact, but I will also let them know.
Yeah, I mean, that's DC code. They have to notify the owner of the property, but if he doesn't live there and he's probably not going to be as concerned.
Yeah,
as
that's fair.
Who is going to be irritated by whatever work you're going to do. I always suggest at least touching base with tenants just as much as the landlord.
Will do.
Does anyone on the panel have any other questions for our folks?
One final
Yes.
thing. Sorry, I'm thinking of these things as I'm looking at this. Where you guys plan, or where is the current pickup of trash? Is that from the alley or from the front?
That's from the alley.
Okay, so where are you designating within your area?
It's under the stair landing, which we went back to the plan. It's right behind the fence there. So
Okay,
it's inside the fence, and they'll roll it out. Kind of at the corner there is where everybody picks up their garbage, where the alley turns
okay.
on garbage day.
Tony?
I have a brief comment. Following the comment from Pat Nelson. I used to be the chairman of the ANC a while before the last, but 10 years ago. And we always had a policy as make a good faith effort by the owner and the tenant on the properties. Make a good faith effort to contact the tenants. I'm just making that comment as a side, but that's important.
Yeah, understood.
But
On the flip side, I'll say that I appreciate you following the notice requirements to the letter. For people who are not super in tune with the ways of the ANC or the expectations or the good suggestions of Patrick Nelson, totally understandable that that's as far as you would have gone. So that's the kind of feedback when you come to an ANC committee. Sounds like you're going to take it. Really appreciate that. But I appreciate you checking the notice requirements and following them to the extent that they can guide you.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think this looks like a pretty straightforward and a good project. Is your intent to live here, Christina? Is that your hope, or is this going to be a sold or a rental?
We'll live in the second story area.
Yeah,
The
nice. Are
first
you there?
story and up, yeah.
Are you there now? Is that where you are?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, great. So you'll have to live through this construction, or are you going to vacate?
I think we're gonna live with my sister for a little bit.
Good plan. Good plan. Well, I would, make the recommendation that the ANC, support the areas of relief, which I'm assuming here are going to be your setback, and does it also include lot coverage? What are the actual? I didn't double check.
Yeah, so it's also lot coverage. I think we're at 67,
62,
62.
or it might be 67. We kept trying to get as close as we could.
Yeah. That's why you're taking a portion of the roof off the front, which
Yeah.
I understand that helps.
And the
So,
porch also.
yeah, the lot coverage and the setback. Were there any others any other areas of relief?
I'm not really sure. I wasn't clear about the third story, whether or not that required relief.
No,
Okay.
the third you're allowed the third story by right, and you're only doing 2 units, which is also by right. So those would not be areas of relief. It would
The other area that staff went back and forth on was the lot size, because this is a non-conforming lot by that code change. But we provided some documentation to staff about how many lots in this 2-block area are non-conforming, and it's a pretty high number.
Oh yeah, mine is a non-conforming block. I can assure you there are many.
Right, and then the other thing we went around with staff on, and actually got their support finally, was they did not want us to remove a portion of the front porch, and really, Christina didn't want to remove any of the front porch, but to get access to the basement with the lot size and the other requirements, we had to take a portion of it off. And then we showed through some photographs on just that one, the block of water, that there's, Christina, was it 6 or 7 people have either modified the porch or taken the porch completely off, which is not, it was not our intent at all, but there's already a history of that. And it's a shame. Some of them have taken the front porch totally off, and the house looks doesn't fit in with the rest of the neighborhood.
Well, that was, to be honest with you, that was quite the norm a number of years ago, that developers were doing that so that they could recoup the lot coverage and get their FAR and all that stuff in tune with that. And the zoning board really knuckled down and said, we're not going to let you do that anymore. There was a whole big discussion about whether basements and cellars and whether or not you should dig out the front yard. And I mean, Mike can attest to, there was a lot of them that we went round and round and round on. So the issue was resolved, that they stopped them from doing that. But to your point, there's a lot of them now that have been cut away. They're just making it so that you have height access to get into the basement rather than remove the whole front porch.
Yeah.
And a lot of them that I know of, that I've seen, are being done very tactfully, in a way that even though there's one on my block where they cut away the piece to make the stairway, and then they went back afterwards and added just a roof over it, so that there's at least protection for the stairway going down in. And it's just hard with some of these houses in the city, the way they're set up, to be able to do that. I mean, your lot is tiny, so you have a whole lot of room to work around. And I'm surprised they were really pushing you on that. Was that somebody in the zoning office? The zoning administrator?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's because we have a new,
Yeah,
a whole new.
you have a
crew
new
of-
zoning administrator that does tend to shake things up occasionally.
That's kind of ruffled the feathers.
Yeah.
So,
I will ask, since we do have a couple of people that are not on the panel, if there's any members of the community that came here tonight that wanted to ask any questions or make a statement about this project, that now would be an opportunity. If you raise your hand, I'll recognize you and we'll do that. One last go. Anyone else on the panel have any questions for our guests?
Michael, I have one last quick questions, and then I'll stop asking questions, I promise.
It's fine.
As it pertains to the front overhang piece, that's the quote unquote architectural element, how far back did you say your addition was going to be? The third floor addition?
This is the third floor addition, though.
So from the
46
front,
on the front.
in the
From the
front,
front, yeah.
how far back is it?
Yeah.
6 feet? Is that what it looks like?
Yeah, we're not. Oh, from the sidewalk?
No, from the top of the roof line.
We're not.
You're
David,
setting
go
back
back to the survey because we're
third
not
floor.
changing the front
Yeah, no, that's what
distance
I'm
at all.
confused.
No. We're only talking about the third story. You're
Okay.
setting it back from the rooftop architectural elements. You're
Oh,
setting
okay.
how
Okay.
far back from that is it set?
Yeah.
Usually it's like 5, but maybe you're doing more.
Yeah, we're not
I think
showing.
it's 6 feet, but
Yeah,
David,
it
go
looked like-
to the third, there you go, right there. It should
Yeah.
be,
That's what.
That looks like
I
it's
don't
6
have a
feet.
dimension on that.
Right.
Yeah,
Kinda
I
hard
have
to
a dimension there.
Mm. That's the third.
I think it's 7 feet, but I don't have the drawing. I can't open the drawing in front of me. I'm in the midst of moving from Florida to North Carolina, so I don't have my computer set up.
No, you actually go
But I
there.
believe it's 7
pergola. So
feet.
do the one where you see the pergola. I mean, that kind of gives a
Yeah.
good sense. If you think of those being, every few inches.
Every 16 inches,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
7.
Quite a,
7
it'll be a nice walkout for coffee in the morning kind of thing.
16.
Patrick, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to
Generally?
just make sure I understood how far back they're going.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, then I will go ahead and make a motion that the committee will support this application in the 2 areas of relief that we talked about, the lot occupancy and the setback requirements, and ask for a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those against? And any abstentions? All right, with that, the committee will write up a report saying that we were in support of this. The ANC is going to meet in about 2 weeks here in November, and they will then have an opportunity to review that report and decide if they want to make any changes. But thus far, they have always supported the committee, so I will imagine that will go well. And then we'll send it off to the BZA. It'll be there for your hearing, and hopefully this will all get approved. But do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, quick question. That second ANC meeting, am I involved in that or is that a private meeting?
So it's not a private, it's a public meeting. They do not generally have the person say anything more. You certainly aren't going to have to give a presentation, but it's not a bad idea, one, to attend all the ANC meetings, of course, but to be there in case there is a question that would pop up that somebody could only ask of you. But generally, they focus it on the report itself and whether or not they're going to approve the report. Your particular commissioner is Brad Howard. I believe he did join us, but he might be, I don't know where he is. I don't know if he can come on, but if you have any particular questions, you
right
can always
there.
reach out to Brad.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Sure. Have a nice evening and good luck.
Thank you.
You too.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good day. Bye.
Great. All right, Brian, I know you were having some internet connectivity issues. Are you doing better?
I guess we'll see. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Awesome. I'm going to keep my camera off because I'm going to have to share my screen and it may take up some bandwidth. As I'm bringing this up, just a little background for everybody. So we heard from a couple of people in the community about the bottle bill, and we wanted to put together a resolution as the city council is still considering the bottle bill. And so I put this together and I wanted to be very clear that this is just something for us to start with. The language is meant to be edited, reviewed, and like let's strategize how we want to like articulate what our kind of thoughts are. But I wanted people to feel like there was something to actually react to and we could actually like manipulate rather than kind of starting from scratch. So please do not read this as something that is like fully formed and baked. I will say kind of bottom line up front. Overall, I think everyone is very supportive of the bottle bill and that there are a couple of things around clarification, some ideas that will just make it even stronger to make sure that the business community feels supported and that the right actors are having to kind of contribute to all the pieces here. So that's the bottom line up front. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can you see?
Yep.
Okay.
Ryan, can you make it a little bigger?
Sure.
Us old folks need to be able to read a little better.
How's that? I can go bigger if you need me to.
No, that's much better. It's tiny before.
All right. So I'm going to talk slowly just so people can read it. But the first two clauses are just giving a little bit of background of just the scope and size of materials, recyclable materials that are actually hitting our waterways, things of that nature, setting the context around the beverage containers. And then just a little bit of background that Councilmember Brianna Joe introduced this legislation at the beginning of 2025, and we are now having the council hearings. It just had on October 1st, the committee for economic development had their first public hearing, and then concurrently there's going to be a actually, I did put that in here down here. Business Development had their hearing on October 1st, and then the Committee on Transportation and Environment are going to have a subsequent hearing before it goes for markup and council consideration. So that's where we are with it right now. And then going into the intent, the goal of the legislation is to reduce litter and pollution. Increase beverage container recycling rates with a target of roughly going from its current 24% to as high as 85%. I will note that 85% is roughly the rate that a lot of other states, there are 10 other states that actually have bottle bill type legislation, and that 80% seems to be kind of the going recycling rate with these programs. The third is to create a local recycling and logistics, or to create local recycling and logistics jobs, and to make DC the first jurisdiction in more than 2 decades to implement a new bottle bill. The way that the bill articulates how this would be implemented at a kind of a high level is essentially to implement a refundable 10-cent deposit on most beverage containers, and it excludes milk, infant formula, and medicines. And it is targeting, as I said up here and outlined, plastic bottles, aluminum, and glass bottles. And then the deposit would be refunded for all intents and purposes to the consumer upon returning the bottle to a designated authorized receptacle. And this is where we get into some of the I'm not going to say confusion, but I think outstanding questions might be the better way to put it, on who are going to be the responsible parties that are going to be authorized in actually tracking, receiving all the bottles and the implementation of the actual deposit. So under the proposed legislation, the restaurants that sell beverages for on-site consumption are exempt from the requirement to charge, collect, and reimburse the deposit. So that is a very important piece. And so if you're a bar or a restaurant and you're intended to serve a beverage that comes in a can or a bottle, and then they're going to leave it at the table when they leave, things of that nature, they're not going to be responsible for participating in this program. They're exempt. So that remains grocery stores, convenience stores, things of that nature. The second exemption is around size. So anything that is 2,000 square feet or smaller is also exempt from participating.
What do you mean by that, Brian? 2,000, what are you talking about, 2,000 square feet?
So say it again.
The establishment? I'm not sure I understand that.
Yeah, so like a grocery store or convenience store that's smaller than 2,000 square feet would be exempt and would not be expected to have to participate in the collection,
Yeah, so
the
you would
charge,
agree,
collection, and reimbursement of deposit.
Patrick, like any of the corner markets that we have probably would, if they're probably under 2,000 square feet. So it sounds like they would be exempt from having to participate in this.
Okay, so then my question, and if you don't want me to ask these questions, Brian, I won't, you can go
No,
say.
please.
Question would be, what is the rationale behind not requiring small corner stores to collect the deposit, not necessarily collect the bottles back, but collect the deposit on the bottle? I mean, the whole purpose of this is to force people to return bottles. And if you're going to not let small establishments be, or you are going to let them be exempted, you're really defeating the whole purpose of even having the bill put in place, because they're the majority of bottles that are on the street are being sold by these little corner stores where people buy a soda or a pop or whatever, walk down the street, drink it, throw it in the street.
Do you
I mean,
know that for sure? Do you have that data? Because I'd love to put that in here.
I don't have the data myself, but I can tell you just by what happens on my own block. I mean, I can understand, and I would agree with not forcing small mom and pops to collect the bottles and return the deposit, but to say that they're going to be exempted from collecting the 10 cents or whatever it is you're putting on the bottle, it just doesn't make it. It's defeating the purpose. And my experience from bottle bills, when I lived in New York and when I was out west, every single person or entity that sold those containers are required to charge the fee. And then there are certain areas like major grocery stores and different places where you could go and return the bottles and get your 10 cents back. But to say, and maybe I'm not understanding what you're saying, to say that the small mom and pop corner stores don't have to collect the 10 cents, it to me is self-defeating.
Yeah, that's a good
Brian,
question.
that might be an area for clarification too, to make sure that
Yeah.
we're understanding that that's that the exemption is as far as not even collecting the 10 cents. Because you're right, to Patrick's point, I mean, you could go buy all your stuff at this one place and then return the bottles somewhere else to get the 10 cents that you never paid.
Exactly.
So it may be, as Patrick is saying, that they will in fact be having to collect the 10 cents, but we want to make sure we understand that.
Yeah.
It makes sense for the exemption of restaurants because that's the standard norm in my experience. When New York State first did it, there was a whole lot of debate. And yeah, if you're in a bar and you buy a bottle of beer and they give you the beer, they're not going to charge you 10 cents because they collect the bottle themselves. You don't take it out on the street and throw it in the street. They collect it and they're going to be the ones that are disposing of it. So whether or not the vendor, the restaurant, should have to pay 10 cents to make sure that they collect the bottles and return them, that's a different story. But
Right.
but that's more of a norm in like I said, in my experience and how bottle bills work, though that's a pretty standard that you don't make a restaurant pay that because they are required, and maybe there's something that should be put in the bill that says the exemption doesn't apply to restaurants, but they should be, and I don't know the language, how to say it, must be required to recycle all the bottles that they do sell within their own establishment through the proper recycling center or something, which they probably do anyway.
Yeah, they already do that.
Hey, Brian, I'm going to recognize Jean because she put her hand up, and
Yeah.
I may just let that be open since it's a small
Yeah.
group. And anyway, Jean, I'm giving you the ability to talk. You can unmute yourself and then go ahead.
Thank you for that ability. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. This is a super complicated bill. There was about 10 hours of testimony, I think, about it when it was before the council. People who think they know what's in it, and I'm one of these people, don't really. And so around restaurants, my understanding is that okay, so some of you probably understand how kegs are done. The distributor brings us a keg full of beer. And when we get that keg, we pay $30 deposit on the keg, the actual metal keg. And then when they come and they bring us our next delivery, they pick up the empty kegs and they deduct the $30 on the invoice. But we've also gotten other kegs, so there's more $30 deposits. Do you all understand what I'm saying? It's a rotation of money.
Rotating.
Right.
Yeah.
That we never get to spend.
Right.
That is what I understand is going to happen with bottles and cans. And so we have to make space for, and in reading what you wrote here, Brian, I'm still reading this the same way. And that is that we will have to make space for the bottles and cans that are empty, which we do not now. We put them in our garbage collector is responsible and tells us that they recycle and that and everybody in the city, I don't, whether it's an apartment building or whatever, we're paying these people who are telling us how to give them our garbage so they can recycle. Right now, it's just put it in plastic bags. I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I want folks to understand that it's super complicated. And so my reading is that we will have to maintain space for the empty bottles instead of putting it in the garbage and having our garbage and recycling people take it away. Instead, there will be somebody coming, and whether it's the distributor or whether it is another new entity that's created to come and pick up all the bottles, because otherwise my Budweiser guy is only going to pick up Budweiser bottles, the Miller Lite guy is going to only pick up their Miller Lite. Do you understand? This is complicated.
So I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you, Gene, because I'm going to ask Brian. Brian, can you show us, if you have it, and I'm assuming maybe you do, the section of the legislation that gives the exemption, so that we can kind of see, is it clear in the exemption language that the entire bill is exempt, or do you have that?
Good deal. Hold on one second.
I don't think that this was thought out very well because this is not
Oh,
in any
well, sitting here, he's looking for it. Then the corner stores testified that they want to be a part of it because we are going to have to pay 10 cents on every bottle we get from our distributors. When they talk about exemption, my understanding is that is about being a recycling center where, unlike the grocery stores, we do not have to take your deposits that you bought at 7-Eleven or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's very complicated. That's the point I want to leave everyone with here. A lot of work to be done.
Yeah, well, that
And Gene,
makes
to
sense.
your real quick, Pat, real quick, Gene, to a couple of your points there, and maybe some of the wording in here just needs to be clarified. But my read on it is that, as like, for example, 930 Club, they are an establishment with the purposes of on-site consumption, and so therefore you'd be exempt. And what that means from how I read this is that the 930 Club would not be responsible for the charge, collection, reimbursement of the deposits, and would not have to separate or do the recycling any differently than what their normal operating procedures are.
And I read it differently. I read it where it says for on-site consumption are exempt from the requirement to charge my customers or collect from my customers or reimburse deposits to customers or non-customers. That's how I read that.
Yeah, well, that is, Gene, that's part of why I was bringing that point up, is that my experience when this was instituted in New York State was that the restaurants were exempted from anything. They were required, and it's probably not in this bill since I haven't read it, I don't know, but they were required, once the bill was put in place, that they had to figure out how to do a good recycling of the bottles and cans and stuff that they were doing, kind of similar to what you were talking about with the deposits on the kegs, which is a little different because they're reused. But it was to reduce the garbage, and the majority of the bottle bill of stuff that was done in New York State was to reduce the amount of bottles that were being left on the side of the road and put into people's garbage cans, and it was kind of forcing people to not just recycle like I do in my house. I recycle everything that I can through the system, but it's forcing you to say, well, you can recycle, but if you don't recycle through the system to get your money back, you're paying 10 cents more on every single bottle of things that you buy.
Right.
And it causes the residents and small businesses to collect the money, but not all of the small businesses are going to be recycling or centers where you go. Like I said, I can only use my example of New York. All the grocery stores that were set up, and you go in the grocery store and you bring your cans in, and there was a machine that you put them in, and it spit out the money once you did it, and it was done. So at least when I remember, it was done, and the kids in the neighborhood were going around and picking up all the cans that were left and taking them in to get their 5 cents and 10 cents to use.
Patrick, I'm going to cut you off there. I'm going to see, because I do see Chuck has also raised his hand, and I want to give him an opportunity to ask a question, if he has one, or make a comment. Chuck?
Hi. So I'm speaking both as a resident of Ward 1, and I also have a business down at the wharf in Ward 6 that is impacted by this bill. And to clarify some of this, because I have had conversations or email conversations with Brianne Nadeau regarding this, as well as conversations with Councilmember Allen on it. Restaurants would not have to participate in collecting deposits, but I believe that they will still have to. There's supposed to be some entity that is supposed to collect all of the cans and bottles, but that I'm not positive about. My biggest concern right now as a resident here is I live on the 500 block of Kenyon. We haven't received trash collection for 2 weeks right now. And the last thing I need is somebody digging around in my trash looking for cans to recycle. We have one of the worst rodent problems in the city right here in my block. And having somebody digging around looking for cans to recycle or cans to return I just did grocery shopping over in Arlington today. Those cans would not be redeemable here in the district, of course. There's supposed to be some way to tell. There has not been a way determined as how that's going to happen yet. But if I put those cans into my recycling bin, somebody could come in and try and scoop them up and leave whatever else on the ground. Again, the trash collection in this area right now is horrific, and until that's resolved, I don't believe that this is an effective way of managing recycling. This is a problem for businesses in that we are basically being told to allocate a certain portion of our storefronts or of our areas to this program. This can result in thousands of dollars in rent that we are paying for space that we can't use for our actual business. A lot of small businesses in this area may not participate. I know where I am, because I have competition right down the street from me that will have to. That it is going to be a requirement basically for me to do it. The nearest place that would have to be a redemption center to this ANC would be Giant or Safeway.
That's what I would think too, Chuck.
And
I do kind of go back to Brian, and maybe Brian, you haven't been able to find it, but that exemption language should, I mean, I would think that would clear things, hopefully clear things, as if it's not.
But so yes and no. The situation is I have a 1,600 square foot wine and spirits store down at the wharf.
Yeah.
There's going to be a streets market opening up literally a block and a half away from me, and there's a Safeway 5 blocks away from me. I certainly don't want to send customers down to Safeway with their returnables just so that they buy their beverage alcohol there.
I see. Okay, now I'm getting where you're worried about the space.
But there's also an equity issue here, in that everybody keeps saying this isn't going to cost the consumer any more money, but the reality is that right now I sell a 6-pack of Narragansett for $8.99. With tax, it comes up to $9.91, $9.96 if they get a bag. So now they're going to have to pay $10.56 if they want a bag. And if they don't return those cans, this is an effective price increase. So the guy coming in with his $10 bill, going into any corner store, who's going to buy that 6-pack, is now going to need more money to do it. And so we're telling people that they have to save their cans and collect them and bring them home. I live in our main house is 1,600 square feet. I don't have room to collect cans anymore. I already have a recycling bin. This is asking me to collect even more, and then remember to take them with me to the grocery store to trade them in. My husband has a Diet Coke addiction. I buy it by the flat. The frustrating thing about this is that there is an effective cost to it, both to the retailer, who has to pay somebody an hourly wage to manage this program. It also is going to cost the person buying the product. If they're not bringing 6 cans back, it's going to cost them 60 cents more. But the guy buying the $60 bottle of Cabernet is going to pay 10 cents. He doesn't care. The average person that's coming in and buying the $60 bottle of Cabernet probably has a little bit more money in his wallet than the guy buying the 6-pack of Narragansett.
Gotcha.
I don't think that this, at least maybe I'm not sure, but I don't think this applies to bottles of wine.
Yes, it does. It applies to every bottle, 50 milliliters and larger. So if a liquor store sells little airplane bottles, it applies to that. It applies to every bottle all the way up to a 3-liter double magnum, unless it's milk, medicine, or infant formula.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. I'm going to go to Brian because this is ultimately his thing. Brian, do you have so far what you're looking for? Do you have questions of us? I'm going to keep going around, but I just want to check in.
Yeah, no, and I apologize. My internet is awful. Chuck, I think I got 2/3 of everything you said. Michael, I came back in right when you were saying that's a really good point, Chuck, and now I understand what you're saying. So let's get together afterwards, and
Yeah,
you
and
can
this has all
help
been
me.
recorded. This has all been recorded, and there's a transcript, and Brian will get a
Very good
chance
point.
to
Yeah.
review it and see where this goes. I mean, we're
Mm.
we're just helping Brian kind of flesh out his thoughts on this resolution. I think ultimately I'm going to let this one sit with the actual commissioners, since this is not necessarily in our wheelhouse as much. But I think this is a good discussion.
Yeah. And I want this to be the reason that I'm bringing it up. And I brought something that was 75% like kind of baked, is that I want to make sure that we're talking to the community about how people are feeling about it. So Chuck, I'm grateful that you're providing some of your feedback, and you definitely opened my eyes to a couple of things, particularly this last one. Same thing with Gene. So Gene, thank you for sharing a lot of your thoughts too, and coming up with some really good questions, and Pat too. So please, let's continue the conversation. The question earlier, Pat, here's the definition that I've been reading through when it comes to the 2,000 square feet. But we can move on to the other pieces, because I think I have the questions that we need in order to clarify exactly what this, and Pat, your point is well taken. I understand what you're saying about the 2,000 square foot kind of exemption.
So you're saying, so Brian, your understanding, again, this is our understanding of the bill, which is neither here nor there because we're not the ones who implement this. But your thinking is that by not calling hotels, lodging establishments, restaurants, bars, retailers, that's what is exempting them from the bill. That we then go back and ignore anything that refers to a requirement of a retailer.
Yes, but I hadn't thought about it. I think I have a better understanding of how Gene was talking about it earlier, is that now that the way that I'm hearing it from her is that they don't have to participate in the collection and reimbursement, but are they themselves going to be responsible for altering their recycling behavior because they are an establishment that needs to participate with the retailers and all that stuff. Like I think that's a really good question, and that may need to be clarified in the actual language itself.
Okay. And I think Gene is going to have another comment, but I'm going to give everyone a moment in case there are others, and then we'll let Gene speak again. But was there anyone else that had any other questions? I see Brad, I think you have your hand up.
Yeah, but I can go at the end.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and Brian, I think I joined later. Can you quickly just this is the resolution. Like what's the resolve down there? So what do we? This resolution is doing what exactly? Just overall.
Yeah, asking for as this goes into the next committee public hearing. Sorry, the next committee's public hearing, because it's going to the Committee on Environment, Transportation and the Environment. This would be helpful to hopefully provide feedback on ways or questions that the community are asking for, potential clarifications, things of that nature. So this is an opportunity to collect feedback and provide it to the council as they're continuing to fine tune the bottle bill.
Yeah, I have some concerns about this legislation as well, that I can just send to you offline, but I think there's some unique things about its impact into Ward 1 in particular. I think when you look at all the kind of establishments we have along Georgia Ave and along U Street, it's like, they're already tight as it is. So I'm with you on some of the concerns here. The sidewalks here are short, pretty crowded already. And I do think there are a lot of problems with the wine bottle issue, because I just like those can break easily, and you got glass shut everywhere. I just, I think the sanitation issues that we have over here, at least in Parkview as well, I think to Chuck's concern is something I have as well. I obviously like the intent, but I guess my question is, what do you think? Is your understanding they're actually entertaining changes, or is this like a formality at this point?
I'm so sorry. You went out there. Repeat your question one more time.
Is this a formality, or are they actually considering making changes?
They're absolutely considering changes.
Okay.
Councilmember Nadeau and Councilmember Allen have both said that they've already been talking to people, and there
Oh, good.
are
Okay.
things that they know that they want to update or clarify. So no. This is not a formality. This is definitely something that they're interested in hearing.
Okay, I'll send you my thoughts offline then.
Great. Thank you.
Brian,
Howard.
Can you email this draft that you have to all of us so that I would like to take some time to read it offline just to give you more comments on it?
Sure. And
and
please provide, offer up suggested edits and stuff. Like, as I mentioned, I put this together for us to react to and to edit together, not for this to be considered like final language for
I'm
you
gonna
guys
go
to
back to
approve. So
I'm gonna go back to Gene then, and I'm gonna start by saying, Gene, if you could answer my question, which is, would you be happy if this bill simply exempted your establishment just entirely? Like they were able to say, look, we don't need to worry about you guys because you're already recycling in a very effective manner. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on just a flat out exemption. Would that solve the problem?
That's a really hard question for me to answer because we are extremely we have been working as hard as we can to be as sustainable as we can for many years, and we do recycle. We recycle cups. We don't have any single bottle of water in our venue. So for me to say, oh yeah, exempt us, yeah, that would solve all the problems for us. But I don't think it answers the question for the community and the environment and so on and so forth. So when we're looking at this bill, what I would love to see is something that works. This is a really complicated bill, and it's if you exempt all of us, I don't know what the people we pay to take our garbage away do with our garbage. We all hear how stuff doesn't get recycled, right? And the goal about this is just like the kegs. If keg is a Miller Lite keg and it's like stamped on there, you're not putting somebody else's beer in that. And so same thing with the Budweiser bottle. If the Budweiser bottle is getting recycled and going back to Budweiser, they're going to clean it and reuse it. That's what, to me, the concept of recycling is about. Now, that's not totally clear in this either. But what I wanted to say, so I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, it was helpful. I mean, you've mentioned that, so exemption is not necessarily a solve for you anyway. But keep going.
Maybe for other establishments, absolutely, they're losing their minds. But and we have space issues. It's not like this nothing about this will be easy. What I would like to say, first of all, thank you, Brian, so much for bringing this really complicated conversation to the community, because otherwise it just is circling around the council and people that are reacting to the legislation. So I think it's really important for what you're doing now. What I would suggest is let's invite David Minnie or Brianne herself to come, and we've got a lot of questions. A lot of them are on this video, and as you all read through I would suggest reading the legislation and then reading the resolution. The legislation is tough to get through. Am I right, Brian?
yes.
It is difficult. It is some of the toughest legislation I've read. And I'm a lay person, but anyway, that's my suggestion. I'll shut up. I just really appreciate you all doing this. As a resident in the city, it's an important conversation we all need to have. Thank you.
Thanks.
Gene, before you.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, Michael. Gene, before you go on mute, based on our conversation earlier and some of the stuff that I've heard from you, I wrote this particular clause trying to articulate some of your concerns.
Right.
Is this kind of capturing? Can you
Yeah.
read this real quick and just tell me if this is capturing it?
Yeah, managing logistical challenges. Yes. Wait a minute. Managing logistical challenges related to takeout and delivery beverages sold for off-premises consumption. That's that's not my problem, but that is
Yeah.
right. Okay. Implementing operational systems, processes. Well, right, and that's being put on the distributors. Right, and then scheduling additional container pickup. That's definitely something like at Anthem. What I've tried to explain to people is I can bring in, depending upon the show, we could bring in 200 cases of Miller Lite, plus a lot of other stuff. Just 200 cases of Miller Lite twice a week. Well, if I have to keep 100 cases empty, I'm going to have to rotate because of space. So now, instead of getting 200 cases twice a week, I may have to get 100 cases because there are going to be 100 empty cases sitting there that hopefully go away when I get 100 new cases. Does that make sense? So I might go from 2 deliveries to 4 deliveries. And that in itself with semi trucks is not environmentally friendly either. So there's a lot to think about. There's a lot going on here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
So Brian, one other thing that I don't know that you have in here, but has been a concern for me, and I really need to take the time if you have A, to send this, and B, tell me where I can find the actual legislation, because I would like to read it myself. But my concern that I don't think you've addressed in here, because it probably isn't a big issue, is what's going to happen with all the money? Who's collecting it? Where's it going? Who's in control of it? Is that something that the district is doing? Is it based on just the retailers or whoever's collecting it? Because that's always been a hot topic issue in New York State about how much money is really collected versus how much money is refunded, and the windfall that the state of New York gets because of this bottle bill of bottles that are never ever returned or disposed of. And I mean, I can use that as a case example. You know, the last time I was up at a wedding with my brother and we went out and bought some wine and some beer, and I paid the deposit, and I drove home with the bottles and threw them in my recycling. So they just walked out with, 5 cents or whatever it is in New York State. I think it's 5 cents that I'll never get back.
Yeah, to answer your question, I have some additional questions around, like, there's a 4% or a 4-cent fee or something that, the handling fee shall be set at 4 cents, which does not explicitly say the exemption, the broader definition. I don't understand what this 4-cent thing is, and that it's the responsibility of the distributor.
The vendor that collects the bottles, if they set a machine up in the store to collect the bottles, they're probably allowed to charge 4% of the money that they collect to keep.
I have no idea, but I did want to ask about that myself. But to answer your question directly, so just doing some back of the envelope math, if the numbers are that we have 617 million beverage containers per year, and that we're going to be doing 10 cents deposit on that 617 million beverages, then that gives you roughly $61 million per year. If the target is to reimburse 85% of that, then that's $51 million going back. And so the delta, $10 million, is what would be distributed to this district recycling fund. And it's 75% of it is to go to the DOEE for waste reduction initiatives, and the remaining 25% is to go to program administration.
Another
So,
boom.
say it again.
I said another DC boondoggle.
Yeah. But I think that's
I can
similar to what
imagine I
Gene's
can imagine future hearings where they talk about how they could use that money to do something else with it.
Oh, yeah.
It gets repurposed all the time.
Oh, my
But I
Lord.
think that goes, your point also kind of supports what Gene, I believe, was saying earlier, which is that essentially, if there's $61 million potentially that's kind of out in the ether that's just cycling around rather than kind of being, um, you know, part of our local economy. And it's just kind of being like shifted hand to hand. So
Yeah. Chuck, did you have another point?
let's see
Yeah,
what.
I can explain a little bit on that 4 cents. The idea is that it's a handling fee. So say you bring 20 bottles or cans to the store. The store will give you 20 times 10, so $2. The store will also receive 80 cents from an overall pool, basically 4 cents for every container as a handling fee. The idea is to offset the cost that it would be to implement this at the store level. Unfortunately, the reality is that by the time this is implemented in 2027, DC minimum wage is going to be about $20 an hour. So you would have to process 800 cans to pay for that hourly wage, and that doesn't include payroll taxes that are also have to be paid. By then, it's going to be about $2 to $3 extra. So there's a lot of money. There's a lot of expectation that the retailer is going to have to eat some money on this.
Gotcha.
So Chuck, can you explain a little bit more about what you're talking about? Cost of wages? Who is it?
It's pretty simple. If I'm a retailer, I own a store down at the wharf. If I become a redemption center, there is time that has to be spent in terms of managing this product, emptying out the box, counting the number of cans, figuring out what is acceptable to return, what is not going to be able to return, something like that. Figure it's going to take 2 hours a week of an employee's time to do it. I have to pay an employee for those 2 hours. At DC minimum wage in 2027, that's going to be about, including payroll taxes that I have to pay, FICA, Social Security, Medicare, as well as the DC Family Medical Leave Act tax. That adds up to a total of about $22 to $23. So that is something that I have to pay. Instead of that employee working the floor, selling product, that employee is managing this program. That's the cost.
Thank you. I see Alex raised her hand. Alex, go ahead.
Sure. I have to jump shortly, but I did just want to add that in terms of process, so the bill had a hearing. It's now in markup, which I think to some of the questions around like where is this at right now, is that recommendations that come out of the ANC will be considered as to what it will look like at its second reading and final vote. The more clear and specific, the better. I will be honest, the bottle bill is not in my purview personally or professionally. As a resident, I am supportive. I do live in Parkview. My trash has also not picked up. I'm still good with it. I am not a business owner. I also understand that, some of the trade-offs here are saying like, yeah, this is an environmental, like, and I mean not like green per se, but total district environment for the public interest is trading off and requiring some sacrifices. Something I'm comfortable with. So I look forward to this going to the full ANC and just Brian, good work with this. I know you don't need to hear this from me, but the more specific, the better, in terms of what you're getting to council. And it may actually be easier to ask for responses in writing rather than asking for time from the council member's office, especially because it may be easier to disseminate some of those information, or some of that information if there are specific questions here. So love it. Again, this is not necessarily my wheelhouse. I'm fine with it as a resident and happy to see the ANC picking it up. And I am off, and we'll see y'all next month.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Bye.
All right, Brian, I'll go back to you again. Anything
Yeah.
that you need
I would
from
just,
this
yeah,
process?
the people can just read the resolved here. These are just some ideas that I had, and you know, specific feedback around clarification, that kind of stuff. So if any of this doesn't sound right, or there's anything you think is missing, like, I would love your kind of feedback. I can also send it to Pat's point. I can send it to this group. And if people want a moment to kind of digest it and offer feedback, I can send it out first thing tomorrow morning and ask for people to give me some feedback by like Monday. The count, or the ANC is not meeting until December 3rd, so we have about 2 or 3 weeks. But
Uh-oh, I think we
Oh, we may have lost him again, but
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
okay, your internet, yeah.
Yeah.
That building of yours, you'd think it was
Seriously, I don't know why it's like it works all day and then now it stops working.
everyone's home. Everyone's home using it up.
Right. Oh, there you go. That's a good point. So why don't I send this around first thing tomorrow and ask if people can get back to give me some feedback by like Monday or the middle of next week. In the meantime, I'll reach out to Councilmember Nadeau's office, David Minnie, and ask him. There are some questions that we've kind of got here that we can ask him to start providing some feedback on, but I'm sure we'll have a round or two with him.
Yeah. Actually, the thing that sticks with me is Chuck's comment about people going through the garbage cans looking for it.
Yeah, I agree.
You were in New York when they had this. I remember as a kid, we had
100%.
a glass deposit one, but that, we might have had 12, there were 12 bottles in the house in a given week. And I would take them to the store and take the money, which my parents loved. But it does strike me that people are going to be going through these recycling, looking for the person who, like you, who brought it, a bottle in and just threw it in the thing. But then, our trash is going to end up literally everywhere.
I 100% agree. And Chuck, you said it very articulately, but I was reading kind of why were some of these other programs in other states successful. And one of the things that they said about New York is that they have a army of people who go around and basically sift through people's trash in order to collect a sizable amount of bottles so that they can go and actually hand it in. And so I've seen that personally firsthand when I lived in New York. And then, Councilmember Nadeau's testimony during one of the hearings even cited that, this could be an opportunity for some district residents to be able to collect those bottles and recoup costs, things of that nature. So I think Chuck's point is
Yeah,
a good
yeah,
one.
because I don't have, obviously I don't have a
is
problem with
what they
people
are expecting.
collecting the cans and bottles. What I worry about is that they're going to do so in a
Go to the
way
trash.
they're just literally throwing the other trash out.
Yeah.
Because it's mixed. As we all know, we have a mixed recycling. We have a one system recycling can. So it's mixed in there with a milk jug or some other stuff that is not
Right.
It is not going to be doable. Chuck, I took it down this path, so I at least recognize it.
So, sorry, just one other thing. If you look at where a lot of these recycling bills are in effect, it's Hawaii, Colorado, and California and Oregon, Michigan, New York and Connecticut. If you look at Iowa, if you look at these places, the metropolitan areas, the major population centers of these are nowhere near another place. The average person in Washington, D.C., there's if you drive along Eastern Avenue, there's a grocery store right across Eastern Avenue, the giant, that isn't going to participate in this program. There is a Costco. I don't know how many of you shop at Costco. I shop at Costco a lot. The one here in DC will participate. The one in Arlington won't, and they're equidistant from my home. Both take 20 minutes to get to. DC, this is a really weird place to do it. It's like saying, you know, hey, Albany, New York, you're going to do it in your city, but anywhere else around it isn't going to be affected. So I understand the idea of, well, it has to start somewhere. But this, you know, like I said earlier, you know, I happen to be in Arlington today, or in Virginia, so I just stopped at the Costco there, brought home a flat of Diet Coke.
Yeah. It's a Seinfeld episode, Chuck. Remember the I'm old enough to remember the episode
Yes.
where they use the mail truck. They're using the mail truck to take the cans where you get a 10
Yes.
cent as opposed to the 5 cent. I mean, this is that is certainly something that could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chuck, would you mind, could you send in the chat, can you give me your email address, and may I include you in reviewing this and providing some feedback? Would you mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Hang on here. It says my chat's disabled. I don't know how to do this. I'm not good at this.
Yeah, I was going to say, Brian, your email is pretty easy to remember as one
Yeah.
E7.
Chuck, if you have a moment, if you don't mind just shooting me a quick email, just, you know, put in the subject line, hi, just so I can get your email address. But my email is 1E07 at anc.dc.gov.
Hang on here. I have my phone sitting here right here. 1E07 at ANC.
DC.gov.
Oops. Go. Okay. I will get that to you in just a moment, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you
Yep.
for your feedback. That was, you definitely helped to organize some thoughts around some questions that we had. So I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Brian, anything else?
No, thank you everyone for a really good conversation. This is perfect. This is exactly what I was hoping we would be able to do.
Yeah. So
Brian,
I am going to now participate in the opening of some cans and bottles.
Right. Pat, what was that? Sorry.
You have the actual bill available that you could also forward that to me, or should I just go online and try to find it on the
Yep.
dish?
Brad, Commissioner Howard put it in the chat, so you
And I think you're
can
part of
see
it.
right there.
Give you a second to click it before I turn this thing off.
And I'll put it in the the notes of the resolution, so you don't have to go looking for it.
Yeah, if you put it in there, then I'll just cut and paste it and do it. By
Great.
the time I cut and paste it,
Hey,
Oh,
Brian,
right.
for your sake, Brian, what's most helpful, like specific edits to the resolution or just expressing concerns?
Specific edits, like propose like language.
Okay.
That would be most helpful.
And I couldn't find the
And
draft.
Brad,
What?
say again?
I couldn't find the draft in the 1E shared drive for this. So,
Yeah, I didn't put it in there yet, but I can do it now.
Okay. Yeah. Just, I want to be able to read it.
Sure.
What were you
And
gonna say?
Brad, great glasses. Are those new?
Oh yeah. They are.
I love them.
I gotta spin that FSA. I've got 1,400 more to go.
There you go.
Good luck. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you all very much.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye.